is that David is a diva with a terrible case of ADHD, and he has been on.
Eventually, people that watch more than one of our live streams are going to get tired of the same. David has the ADHD. Yes, we all know.
Well, listen,
David's a diva. Yes, David's late. We all know.
Listen, this is for the new watcher or the new listeners and watchers that haven't seen this yet, because I don't want them to have that kind of shell shock.
We have 4 listeners. Me, because I have to edit the thing.
Yeah.
I don't listen.
I'm the 5th. I listen, guys.
What Meeks? What's his name? I'm terrible with names. I'm sorry, Mr. Meeks. I because he emails me. He watches everything. I didn't want to say Patrick Meeks. He everything we put out.
He must connect better with you because he doesn't email me. I've got people that email me from time to time.
Well, it's because I put my email at the end of absolutely everything, and somehow they go, "Huh, I'm gonna email Lucas." That's not what I don't put Lucas. Send an email to David or Lucas. I don't say that. At the end, I say send me an email so you can. Well, unless they have complaints, I just tell them to send complaints to you.
It turns out it was extremely effective. Boys and girls, how are you?
So yeah, nothing but complaints.
Wonderful.
So Patrick Meek listens to everything, and who else? We have 2 more listeners.
Dwayne Crawford listens to everything.
I think he says.
No, he responds and says things to me all the time. Hey, I heard this on the podcast.
Really?
What do you think about this?
You think he
He
heard
said
it?
you guys were famous when he came in here.
Huh?
He said you guys were famous when he came in.
Everybody sees the setup and says that. Wow, this is crazy. Because they've never seen, I don't know, a camera and a computer before. It's this thing here with the bouncing.
That's it. It's all the colors.
That's what makes it look so crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if it was just the A10 Mini, I don't think it would have the same impact.
Y'all have put on a killer event. I mean, it has been a really good event. Everybody that's been here has stated it's been a really good event. The atmosphere is really interesting. However, the most important thing we have to talk about is the F-bombs that got dropped at the end of the panel on Friday night. That was awesome.
Exciting.
It was. I am so glad we had
No sarcasm.
No, I mean we need more of that.
F-bombs?
Everybody
you gotta
tries
complain
to
about F-bombs. You said, hey, quit dropping F-bombs during the podcast.
Hey, that means that John.
I don't think I've ever dropped a single F-bomb.
That means
ever. So this
John
had to have been you.
John Presnell watches the podcast or listens to it.
Is he our 3rd listener?
Yeah, he must be our 3rd listener.
I don't believe he listens to the podcast.
ADD. It's a hell of a thing.
We have guests on. They go, "Oh, you guys do a podcast? That's great. What's it called?" It's like, well, you're sitting in the chair. Like, what do you think we're doing here? They have no idea.
So,
What's a podcast?
Yeah, exactly. I think the F-bombs and I think the passion shown on Friday night is a good representation of our industry as a whole. I think the passion from the gentleman on the balcony when that was happening is a good representation of the passion that we see in our industry. And kudos to you for allowing it to happen, because so many events and so many shows try to polish everything to the point that it's perfect. It's perfection. We don't want anybody to hear anything bad. We don't want anybody to see anything that's not perfect. We, curse words, this, that, or the other. And in my opinion, that's one of the reasons we've not seen the progress and the change that we hope to see.
Everyone's really, terrified to they just want to say what and put out there what they, what you want to hear. They don't want to tell you what you need to hear.
Yeah.
And like you said, they want to make it polished and pretty and everything's perfect. And when everything's not perfect, that's a horrible approach.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing is it paints this picture that everybody else is doing fine. Why aren't you?
Yeah. And imagine how terrible that must feel, how lonely that must feel if you see everyone else is doing great and I'm sitting here struggling and going through my own stuff and I got nobody I can rely on to lean on any of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Justin, what do you think about it? I mean, what's your takeaway from that?
I definitely had a little concern, I think. So
I saw the anxiety all over your face and you begin to
yeah. I mean, look, that passion needs to go and we are the place where it's brought out, right?
It needs to become action. It needs to be change.
Correct.
It needs to be the fuel for that vehicle that moves us to a different spot.
Correct.
How do we do that?
It means back to the point of if you're upset about not having the equipment or the education, right? So we're bringing the education, right? We had the panel, which was NASTEF. So get angry with, the channels that are going to support you in that mechanism. NASTEF supports you with the technology. Obviously, we're doing an educational piece, so that's the shop management. But we got guys fired up. We hit that nerve that night where some of them, I think the reaction looking around the room, not just myself, because I wanted to make sure that everyone's experience was acceptable. That's me. I want to make sure that we're not upsetting somebody that might come back and go, they let that happen, and I want to make sure that we can at least control that it doesn't go bigger than we can't bring it back. So that was my first take. But
we had a lot of experience in the room that was able to direct that into something that was constructive, though.
Exactly, and I think that is the key, right? Is you've got to let that dialogue open up. Now, I heard the backstory of why you were anxious and nervous, so I understand, right? I really do, but I think it's key to at least get to the point that experience can step in and say it, because, and I've said this multiple times, the fact that so many hands went up when they asked, do you love what you do? And so many hands went up and so many people responded positively. And it was like, okay, great. We can work with that.
Oh yeah. That's everyone. That's the basis for all of us now. Okay. Now what?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So what's your biggest takeaway? I mean, like here we are, you've got a training center in a beautiful area.
Thank you.
And I say that because
there was a guy, when we were setting up, he literally spent like an hour just at the door looking at the mountains.
Right.
It's like, have you ever seen a mountain before? He's like, these are amazing.
Well, so here's the thing is that like you lose sight of that, right? Like I live in the Blue Ridge Mountains and it's beautiful. Have you ever been to, surely you've been out through there somewhere.
I've traveled around the country, several places, but I will tell you, this is more like a painting scene.
It is. And I think it's, like you lose focus of it because you're always here.
Oh, yeah.
But like I live in the mountains and it's very beautiful where I'm at, but like that's just home to me. It's just normal. It doesn't seem odd at all. But you come out here, man, and like it's almost like the air is different. It looks different when you look at it. Plus we have trees and stuff. So kind of hard to see it like y'all see it. I was telling him it's like you're driving down the road and there's a mountain, and like in my hometown we are the mountain, right? You're on the mountain and everywhere you go is a mountain. Here it's like desert mountain.
Oh yeah.
I live on Long Island. It's completely flat. You can't see anything. You just see
what is terrifying? When I go places that don't have mountains, where it's just completely flat, I'm so disoriented, and there's like an anxiety where I have no idea where I am.
Hey, people show up to my hometown and they freak out. And like, you've got a mountain on this side, a mountain on this side, and you're on this road. There's nowhere you could go. Like, you're going to run into the bank if you do anything. And they come to a corner and they slow down to like 25 mile an hour. I'm like, I can't stand this. Get out of the left lane. If I get over there, I could fall off the mountain. You're in between two mountains. You can't fall off of something you're between. Come on now.
You drive like a psycho. So like, I can see you getting upset. It's like, oh, why aren't you going 85?
Exactly. Why aren't they going 85?
Speed limit's 30.
I don't care. That's not my problem.
We were whipping through the woods of Pennsylvania after we went to the Tools Conference, and he's driving 110, and he just got a call from the bank, and he's pissed off. I thought I was going to die that day.
I am not happy in an automobile unless all four tires are off the ground at some point or another.
This is a Toyota Highlander.
I got all four tires off the ground.
ADAS was going nuts. It's like, beep, 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 beep. It's like,
I had a good time.
I
felt better after.
Why would you feel better about driving aggressively? Like, I know how I'm going to release this anxiety, this anger. I'm going to drive aggressively.
Man, it's amazing.
Scare my passengers.
Welcome to New York.
That's a different beast altogether. You're driving the East Coast. Holy crap.
Let me point something about New York out. Okay, there is no aggressive driving in New York because nobody's moving far enough to drive aggressively. Okay, what y'all do is you go 3 feet and like push somebody out of the way. Okay, I personally have been on the Long Island Expressway at 5 p.m. That was the stupidest decision I've ever made in my entire life, because the problem is on the Long Island Expressway, there is nowhere to go. And you can be there for 8 hours. And I don't understand, because all of a sudden the traffic eventually just vanishes. And you're like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, isn't it amazing? Where do they go?
I don't know. I wish I did.
He goes, where do they go?
Where do they come from?
Dude, I'm telling you. And like, you'll be sitting there and nothing's happening and you're not moving. And then all of a sudden everything's moving and everybody dissipates. And it's like,
why do you live there?
Yeah, I'm curious.
just from family.
Is it really just fame? Like,
Yep. I live in
so
San
they-
Diego. I'd much rather live in California or someplace warmer, more seasons out of the year. I
Yeah,
hate the
dude.
cold.
I do
Really?
too. I hate it. I hate it.
I prefer.
I
cold.
mean, are you at least like next to the beach?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I could
That's
see
how-
that.
Two
But that
blocks away.
sucks though. That's a really
everything's
cold
the beach.
beach.
Everything's the beach.
Hey,
Go anywhere you drive 20 minutes in either direction, you're gonna hit a beach somewhere.
I could see that, but like if you live like, I don't know, I couldn't imagine living.
out on the end of Long Island's all these beautiful farms that I never realized were there. And I mean, like big plantation type.
No,
Facilities.
That's where I live. I
Really?
live past the point of no return.
Right.
So after the center.
Yeah, we went out there at one point or another, and they said, "Hey, listen, there's a certain point where trucks can't go anymore. You can't go past this line." And we said, "Why?" They said, "Because you might fall through the island. Like,
Sand.
yeah, it's all sand. You're gonna disappear."
More or less. But yeah.
That's God's way of telling you shouldn't live there.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Like, hey,
one big.
they-
one
there's
big
a whole
tsunami
story in
might
the
just
Bible
sink them.
about-
no more Long Island.
there's a whole story in the Bible about not building your house on sand, and then Long Islanders are like, it's fine.
You really think Long Islanders read the Bible?
What? At some point, somebody must have told them the story.
Listen, there's nothing righteous except for Justin that came from New York. I'm sorry. It's just,
Appreciate that.
I'm just kidding. Don't ever.
That's where COVID came from.
Is it?
Yeah.
You think so?
It went from Wuhan straight to New York, then to spread.
Probably accurate. JFK.
JFK.
Okay. So we're seriously going to talk about the event now.
This event was great.
It really was.
Let's move on.
That's it. Put a nail in it.
Okay. All right then.
But what did you guys like about the event?
Yeah.
Dude, first of all, the town is awesome. Really like the town. It's a really cool little
A
town.
lot of history here
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really
What's with the
neat-
honey?
with the honey. Oh,
Yeah.
it's a Utah thing. Honeybee State.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
No idea.
Yeah.
I thought you said Mormons here. Nothing
Well, that
else.
too. They make a lot of honey.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Is it good honey?
It's great.
Really?
Yeah.
So I should stop and get some honey.
You definitely should.
I love honeycomb.
Local
Do
honey.
you eat, like-
oh man.
Just like the waxy, chewy, like that's delicious.
It is. It is.
Do you eat? No.
No.
That
At the face he made, he's like, "What are you talking about? You freak show!"
You mean honeycombs the cereal? Is that what?
I think it's supposed to replicate that.
okay.
It's like,
Yeah.
honeycomb's delicious. I
Yeah.
absolutely love honeycomb.
it was amazing to see the extent and the quality of the trainers here. I really like how tight knit the event was. You know, when we get in a big hotel, especially, and I really like having events at hotels because if I want to run up to my room, if I want to, if I forgot something in my room, whatever, that's great. But I noticed that in this event, because we're not at a hotel, everybody just doesn't take off and dip out in between classes or
Yeah.
at lunch or.
That is an advantage. You can't just dip out.
They're stuck here.
They're
Yeah.
stuck here.
You
Yeah.
can't run.
You can't run. That's not a bad thing though, because then you force everybody to network and they have to sit there and talk to each other. And
Yeah.
you do get more out of the event in a situation like that than putting it in a hotel and everybody just skips.
I know this has been, you're used to events. I know this has been stressful for you because this is like the first one you've done that has your name on it. And
This is the first one I've done alone. And I say alone
Right.
because I wasn't really alone. Kent and his group did a tremendous job
Yeah.
helping us put this together.
Right.
I could not have done this alone.
Thank you.
But I've done events with several hundred other people where
Right.
I've counted thousands of books with WorldPack. I've
Yeah.
done the Autologic events by ourselves where we
Right.
had hundreds of people. So, but we had a lot of staff and it was a big hotel and there was a lot of walking and there's
Right.
a lot of preparation, but there's so many people involved in it that this is the event where it was, I'm humbled to have been in an experience where it was
Right.
just a few that made this come together.
Right.
And we rocked it, man.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did.
How much were the bathrooms?
How much were the bathrooms? I think it was like $800.
that's
Each
not-
day?
No,
The entire thing?
the entire thing.
Wasn't that key?
And by the way,
Yeah.
how nice were they?
They were awesome.
I was like, you think about like a trailer
he said porta potty, and I'm
right.
like,
And you
what?
go out there, and
It's porta potties out there. He's like,
a
no. He's like,
no,
it's nice. And I'm like, what are you talking
What do
about?
you mean
Holy
by nice?
crap!
Yeah.
Literally, holy crap.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it and said, "There's so many people that are going to be in this area, right? And they're going to have a 15-minute break, and they're going to have breakfast, and they're going to want to get back into class. We can't support that the right, with what we have.
And Porta Johns would have been an awful.
Porta Johns would not have been good. No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many weddings here. So you've got companies like that who were like, "Hey,
you know, it's that little
they
laugh,
want to do
the Mormon weddings."
a lot of weddings here.
Is that a thing?
It is a thing.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't. Where's the?
They marry at like 19.
Do they?
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
Anyway, there's a lot of them, and these guys are like,
because they don't divorce after, right? Like they can't divorce.
No, they can. It's just complicated.
Is it like really hard to get divorced?
Is that where it's complicated on Facebook came from?
Sure. Yeah. That's it. Do they still have that?
Yes, they based it off of Mormons.
Yeah.
It's more. I thought that was a MySpace thing.
What's that?
I think it probably has. It probably has.
The wedding and the marriage, it's a big community. So it's not really something you want to do and embark on is probably divorce, I would imagine.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
So,
but that's not a bad thing though. It's weird because it's no longer like part of most of the country isn't like that. Most of the country, it's like you get married, and that, like my wife has this cousin. I think she's on her 4th marriage, and I remember we went to the first one. I think we went to the second one, and on the third one, the family goes, "Oh no, we're not going to another one.
We're done.
Yeah, we're done. Like we don't know if this one's going to last. The first two, and I hate weddings. I absolutely hate weddings. They're so contrived piles of garbage, like because it's like you're listening to us. We're gonna be together forever, baby. Baby, I'm amazed by you. They're walking down the aisle, and you're just like, 3 months later, they're divorced. And like, what was that then? Were you just lying this whole time, or are you just going off of rando feelings you're feeling for that moment, and then just like completely act differently when you? What is wrong with people? Why do they do that?
I just go for the food.
No, the food's never that good.
That's how I judge a wedding. I go, that wasn't really very good. That wasn't a good wedding.
Yeah, people show up to eat and get
You
loaded.
had meatballs.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Do
Meatballs
Mormons
at a
drink?
wedding?
A couple of hot
Mormons
pockets.
don't drink,
No.
right? Yeah, so what's
Are
the
you
point?
kidding me?
Like they go to
My in-laws absolutely destroyed me because I had alcohol at my wedding. They thought it was highly inappropriate. I'm like, I drink. It's my wedding. I'm gonna have alcohol there. All my friends drink.
people show up to get loaded and to eat food, and that's it. Like, but I have to sit through the ceremony, and I'm listening to this, and I'm like, these people are just full of lies. They're gonna do divorce. You can always tell. I'm sorry. You can just tell. You're just
Are you married?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Listen.
God bless her.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. I could not. Poor Christy is all
I'm just saying. It in general, I discourage marriage. In general, I do. My technicians, every last flipping one of them, do not get married. That is a terrible idea. Over 50% of marriages end in divorce. 78% of them are initiated by the woman. You have no shot of making this work. The odds are against you. And you know what? They go, no, we'll be fine. No, they are never fine. One got completely screwed over. And then the other one is about to get married, and his girlfriend. Now in his situation, he already has a kid, and it's like, you're attached to the kid. There's this point. The kid shouldn't have happened. It's like, next time, wrap that stuff up. Whatever, right? Like, be more mindful of what you're doing. Be more mindful of what you look. There are situations. I'm not saying this happened in this particular case, but there are situations where the relationship's not going right, and all of a sudden the woman ends up pregnant. You're like, oh, what happened there? Like, I had the best man at my wedding. Both of the kids are from. We're gonna make this work. By having a kid doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
Harder, but it brings you together. So it either makes you stronger,
or you screw up a kid's life. Yeah,
completely.
You screw up some kid's life for the rest of their life. I'm just saying.
I can see where you're coming from. It has turned into some kind of big pageantry thing.
Yeah,
just to have it end.
Very self absorbed.
Yes.
You know? It's like, look at us. You know, it's not about what it should be.
Right.
About.
It's not about the
Enough.
relationship. It's about the wedding itself. It's about the.
Nobody takes into stock that they are making a lifelong commitment. This is what we're going to do for the rest of our lives. And nobody takes the decision lightly. They're like, it doesn't matter. We'll just get divorced.
This is a interesting. You know, we started with porta potties, and now we're here.
You brought the
Look at
weddings
us,
up.
you
This
know?
is entirely your fault.
I should listen. I should point out that this entire event, David has said, "You're distracting us. What are you talking about? You're getting us off topic. Why are you talking about this?
No. I'm good at getting off topic. I just don't know what you're babbling about. I have no idea what direction you're going or what you're saying. And I know he tries to be ambiguous and subtle, but it's like, dude, you're too ambiguous and too subtle. Like, you got to throw nuggets in there. The nuggets they have to be like just little blurbs in there that only like non-normies will understand. The normies are going to understand. So I play this video game. Okay. I'm obsessed with this video game. I think this is the best video game I've ever played, ever. I absolutely love it.
Was it Among Us?
What's that?
Was it Among Us?
Among Us?
Oh, that's
Among Us? Oh, Among Us. No.
Everyone's playing that game.
No. I don't get that one. I don't get it. It's too. It's called Elden Ring. Okay. There you go. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Do you know what a gank is?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, see, there you go, right? So if I'm talking and I'm like, I'm gonna gank those fools, and that's maybe you know this one too. That's maidenless behavior. If you gank someone, it's no good. So
shame.
again, yeah. So you start dropping little nuggets like that. He gets it because he plays the game. I get it. I play the game. I also know the weird internet vernacular that has come out of this game, that just people that play this game say these things that, like, they have no meaning to normal people. So my point is, when you're going on these long ambiguous rants, and I get you're trying to insert insults and stuff like that, I get it what you're trying to do. I'm saying you're terrible at it. Okay. And so you have to like insert like little nuggets in there. They're like, oh, I know what he's referring to. Okay. But you're going to get better at it?
No, I'm not. I'm going to do it just to piss you off. However, and if you've not noticed, I do that. But the little thing that I was hinting at here is that you seem to be sidetracking every conversation.
I sidetrack every conversation ever.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I will say that the conversations during this conference have been phenomenal.
They have.
And
Thank you for getting us on track.
So back to that first night, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that the way that we ran this, you know, me and my dad, we're always like, come into our home, be comfortable, all that. I think that brought into the conference itself as well. So that opened up the opportunity for people to feel comfortable to voice those frustrations and those concerns, because it feels like home. You're here and you're like
a bunch of friends hanging out.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I don't think you get at, you know, you might a little bit here and there, little pockets when you're at these bigger events.
Right. Not at a hotel.
No.
Yeah.
The problem you're going to run into is how you can't scale this. Like, you're going to run out of room quick. You're already out.
Yeah,
we're going to put an extension on it.
Yeah.
Make big extension.
Yeah. No. Just, hey, tell you what.
We got more property.
Plow the parking lot. Don't worry about it. Okay. Just, you don't need parking. Hire a bus. Have everybody hauled over here. Don't need parking. You're good.
Yeah.
It's good. So what would you change? What, right? Like we always talk.
Yeah, we were going over this.
You were going to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did we come up with again?
I don't know, man.
I came up with some silly stuff.
I know we're going to give a little bit more notice.
Yeah.
You know,
the lead up has to be like much more.
And now that we've had a little bit of experience with this, we kind of know what to expect. So we'll have a better lead into it.
Yeah.
I mean, we had quite the wait list after we sold out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, that's another thing is we are going to have to get bigger.
Yeah.
I don't think this venue will take another one of these conferences.
Well, that's sort of the problem, though. You lose.
And that's the conversation that we've been having. Is like, do we keep this as more of an exclusive event, or do we expand it? And you know, we were thinking, you know, how many of these people are going to return next time, and is it just going to be the same crowd, or are we going to be able to bring new people into this environment where they get to also experience what we're doing here?
Right.
So those are, we're not 100%, but those are conversations we're having.
So when you talk about the fact that we're reaching 1% of the industry at very best, right?
Yeah,
I mean, let's be
yeah.
real. Like if you go shop to shop to shop and talk to, right? We've done that through ASTA in North Carolina. We've gone shop to shop.
Yeah.
We've all been, you've probably been in shop to shop because of your job, right? We're reaching a very, very small portion. And I know they say there's 240,000 shops or whatever it may be. Dude, there's way more, right? And the reason being is because there's a lot of guys working at home. There's a lot of guys who aren't following proper procedures. They don't have business license, whatever, right? And
10 points.
I missed.
10 points.
I didn't say Kobe before. That's what the problem was.
Celtics are going to lose.
No, don't say that. Why would you jinx them like that? Not out the mud.
So
super superstitious. Sorry.
He's been wearing the same underwear all week, hasn't he?
They lost the other night. They
Um,
lost on Wednesday night. It was rough. They won on Friday. This is where we have a game 7. It's game 7. It's exciting.
So reaching the industry.
I was going to tell you a story. So the reason we actually kind of linked up together. So I knew of Kent. I think I've probably seen you around before, but I've known Cecil for years. With, the training circuit. There was Vision 2020 virtual vision. So there was no classes. It was all virtual.
Yeah.
And during the event, at some point, there was a technology, conflict of some sort where they were trying to make a virtual mingle where everyone's in the room. And I thought it was
fun.
it was a cool idea because, you'd have these little blurbs and come over and you touch the blurb and all of a sudden you're talking to someone FaceTiming, across the
That made for some really interesting
conversation. You're like, hey, I'm in the wrong bubble, but you seem nice.
Right.
It was like speed dating for, the
Right.
tech to tech. It was
Right.
interesting. And at some point they said, okay, we're going to do an event. And it for some reason didn't happen. And Kent threw out and said, look, the technology failed for a second, but we're going to be in a Zoom meeting. Come check us out. And we're at the Gear Institute. So we put a link on there and anybody that saw the chat, clicked the link. And then he actually ended up walking around this facility.
Yeah.
Probably mid build or
we were in the middle of construction. I was set up in the big room with our booth behind us, and then it was all nice and pretty, and I had a good angle. And then I picked it up and turned around, and there's like drywall.
Yeah, but I looked at that when you did that, and I immediately looked at him like he's got something there,
Right.
And I didn't really hesitate. So the next night, I think I got Cecil on that virtual platform, and we connected on the little bubbles, and I go, we need to talk offline because I think I have something that this is going to work. And Eric and I have been talking about this, with the iScan group. So, I couldn't have been more pleased on how this outcome was.
Right.
And it took us better part of, I guess, maybe a year and a half to finally get it, how we going to do it and when are we going to do it. And
so, we just had a conversation with Amber from AutoLeap, right? And I talked about the fact that we're all hoping to reach everybody, right? At the end of the day, you want to reach every shop you can possibly reach. You want to reach every shop and every technician you can possibly reach, because that's what businesses do, right? We want to reach every client we can reach, and training, it can be altruistic as all get out, but the hope is to reach everybody. That's how we generate revenue, right?
Yeah.
Is a training event like this, you talk about keeping it exclusive. Is this something where we should be having a conversation saying, we just want to reach the 1% that can truly get something from this? Or is this something that we look at and say, we want to reach a different 1% next time? Or we want to reach a different percentage or a different sector of that 1%? How do we
either we target the 1% that's going to be engaged like this, and we give them a channel and some fuel to, expand, so they go to the other shops that aren't engaged, right? Or we do try to target another 1% of the market.
Because here's the thing: is what we've seen with training is the people that come back again, right? So these guys that are here, the next time you have it, they're coming back, right? There's no doubt about it. They love the event, man. The place is beautiful, love it. I won't miss it for the world, right? So they're going to say, I'm going to come back. But if you run out of space, and now all of a sudden you're not reaching the next sector, if that makes sense.
what if
how do we?
Well, what if we moved it and went to a facility where it wasn't what they expected as their first time, right? And they didn't have the same experience that they had here. hotel.
Then you run into
Button move,
another
Exactly.
issue there, and it's
Will they come back the next time again?
Right. We've talked a lot about this with some of the shows I'm involved with, because they're talking about the fact we've got to move to a conference center. We're literally just out of space.
Well, even with like our wait list for the people who weren't able to get in, we would have to double, right?
Right.
In order to do the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
We even talked about doing it virtually, but again, same thing. Yes, they would take the classes, so the material might be what they got out of it, but the experience that our student,
the things
That's
that
right.
have to happen, like having those conversations where you feel comfortable enough to be somewhat vulnerable,
Yeah.
where you make those connections.
Exactly.
Go, oh my God, I'm not alone.
Exactly.
I've got somebody I can lean on, and that's what has to happen in the industry, so that we can actually
I
go,
agree.
okay,
I
let's
agree.
band together, right?
Right.
So as we get bigger, that possibility shrinks.
Yep.
Because it becomes more commercial. You're doing it at a hotel. People are dispersed. They're not having those conversations.
So so there comes the challenge.
yeah,
And to those who might say it's about the money, no, it doesn't even have to be about the money. You if you want to reach that next sector, if you want to reach the next group of people who need to hear the message, even if you take money completely out of the factor of it, so you've got to do something different. Is it that you invite the people who are on the wait list this year and invite them first? Is it that you break them up into groups and you have two groups that have, you see what I'm saying? Like it's a conundrum that faces training all over the country.
Well, Lucas, we didn't probably hit our 1% of people that have our product.
Exactly.
Right? They're not here, right? So
Right.
there still may have been people that wanted to come, but this is like, I'd say maybe the first real year where COVID was no longer a factor and people are still worried. But there's people outside that still would not travel.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Justin Miller said he didn't know anything about it. I mean, I think he's fairly local, isn't he? Pretty sure.
not sure.
But and I want to say he's an iScan user too. But I guess my point is that where's that balance at? What are your thoughts moving forward? How do you attain that balance to get it just right? I mean, you're just still brainstorming it, or
yeah. I think we're still thinking it over. Yeah.
what would you do in a perfect world, Justin?
Honestly, I think we'd probably look to maybe do an event here, but maybe doing another event elsewhere where they can always come back to this event. So maybe as we grow, again, not making any promises right now, but a suggestion I think we would probably talk about would be maybe we do one on the East Coast or somewhere local, or
Yeah.
maybe
Right.
somewhere in your area,
Right.
right? So more central to an East Coast
Yeah.
demographic. And
Right.
then
Well, and that brings into account something we talked about a little bit earlier, which is destination training, right? And the fact that people like coming new places, they like seeing things they normally wouldn't see, and that becomes an advantage to the technician who's traveling with the owner or going to a training event. Is, man, I would have never thought about going there, right? Ogden, Utah was never on my list of places to visit.
And I had the exact opposite experience. I had people actually really excited to come,
Yeah,
and they wanted to because they've never been.
right.
But I mean, we have guys that we spoke to that are from Washington, and they're like, I'm like, well, how much training have you been to? And they're like, yeah, really not a whole lot. And I'm like, AT Seattle. I mean, I love that show. I come across the country.
We
to go to
actually had a
that.
few people who've never been to a conference
Really?
here. And
That's
they were
crazy.
like, what do we do? We've never
pay
done
for
this
food?
before.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're asking, do we pay for the food? It's like, no, it's eat it.
Right. You eat the
You know,
food.
Eat, drink, be merry, learn
Right.
stuff, Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Well, you guys have put on a fantastic event. What would the one thing you'd say to the listeners be coming away from this?
Silence.
You guys have an email list set up so people can inquire about it, so they can get email updates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll put something out there for sure.
Okay.
If you reach out to info@wearetheinstitute.com,
Okay.
we can get you on the email list for information on this event. But I would definitely say, even if it's not our event, if it's an event that has training and it has networking, you should go.
Yeah.
Just
I agree.
give it a shot.
I agree.
Try it out. If you haven't before, just go. What
Yep.
what do you stand to lose?
Exactly. I agree 110%. Mr. Mercedes over here, what's your takeaway? What do you want to say?
I mean, I think the instructors did a fantastic job.
Yeah, they
and
were
they killed
amazing.
it. The energy they brought, and they were real troopers here.
I'm a little biased.
Yeah, well, why is that?
I did teach
Well, you are, and you were
Right.
You did excellent.
I'm talking about the other guys, but yeah, they were great.
Yeah, no, the vehicle guys were awesome, and we needed to have management, and I pushed you to do a little bit more, kind of at the last minute.
Yeah.
So, and I'm glad I did. We needed to have a good round, but it was an awesome event. I'm really excited we did it.
I'm going to tell you something. One thing that I would say coming back away from this is I think that we should be thinking about management or profit or financial classes for technicians that are built around technicians.
That was something that, I mean, it's really apparent, and I don't know why, but a lot of shop owners are afraid to talk about the numbers with the technicians.
Yeah,
I'm more on the side of full transparency. If they understand how the business makes money, they understand where their part in the whole picture is,
exactly,
then they're going to be more invested in seeing that entire vision through.
I would love to see a class that's built for them, that when we go to a technical event like this, that they could attend and really understand what part they play in the whole role of the thing. That's the one takeaway I have. David, what's your takeaway?
Sorry, they just canceled my flight. I'm a little freaked out right now.
Hey, you can ride home with me.
We got plenty more podcasts we could do now. This is fantastic.
Did they really?
Yeah, I heard there's some tough weather in
they just canceled it, and they're like, hey, we'll fly you out eventually, don't you worry. Not later today, eventually.
Yeah,
eventually.
Oh, that just made my
with like 3 dots, right? Dot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you guys can hang out even more.
Yeah. David's going to start drinking today. Well, it looks like we don't have to pack up, so we're going to end this live stream, and then we'll
get some driving. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm a little freaked out. I have no idea what I'm going to do.
Why would you drive? That's a hell of a drive.
Drive to another airport, get on a plane, get back to Kansas City.
Well, Marty actually drove from California.
See, Marty drove from California.
I mean,
what do you say to that,
shorter
Lucas?
from probably where he is.
Yeah, I was going to say, hey, listen, I have been from North Carolina.
I don't know. Have you driven through Nevada?
It's a long drive.
It's a long drive.
I drove from California to New York. I moved back. That was a long drive,
dude. And I'm telling you, like you
get here to what? Colorado, and then from Colorado into Kansas, right? Is there a straight shot in the 80, right? To get me to Denver?
Why don't you just do it? It's an
experience. Fly straight.
You're from the East Coast. I've met so many from the East Coast. I have no concept what the rest of the country is. Like they don't know the space. They have no because it takes 6 hours to drive from like Boston to New York City. 6 hours. That's it. It's a like teeny tiny little part of the country, right? And there's so much there. And I get a lot of people, stuff like that. And it feels like a completely different world. And you're driving through New England and all that. But then they're like, hey, 6 hours will get you to certain parts of Kansas. And nowhere else, though. They're like, well, what do you mean?
Listen,
it takes 8 hours to get to the other side of Kansas. And that's going 100 miles an hour.
I don't think you even understand the gravity of this situation. There are places out here where when you start driving, there's
signs.
I
know. There's signs.
Nothing.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's
just
like,
hey, get gas now because it's 450 miles before the next gas station.
It's terrifying, actually, if you think about it, right? You're like, oh my God, we're going to run out of gas. And there's no one coming for me.
That's okay. We're not going to need gas here soon.
Yeah.
We'll all be driving EVs.
That was a blast.
He just cuts. He's like, I'm done.